What if we could run an entire software project with the help of AI, from the requirements to the actual coding? So what I'm trying to do in this video is discuss with the ChatGPT and Gemini. So this is going to be split into video, and there will be part 1 where I will use ChatGPT and part 2 where I'm going to use Gemini. For both of them I paid subscription, so I have ChatGPT Plus and Gemini Advanced. So we're going to see how they can help us during the entire software development lifecycle and how we can do a better job in a faster way. If you're new, hi, I'm Anto. I'm a software developer and I help software developers with productivity and ADHD hacks. If that's you, hit subscribe so you won't miss the part 2. So in this video, what I want to do is building an application. It's a backend application, and I want to try to leverage AI in all the areas of the SDLC. So from the beginning where we capture the requirements to creating documentation, creating the stories, and the actual implementation. And today we're going to use specifically ChatGPT Plus. So let's start with a simple prompt. I'm going to select as a model the O3, which here says that is used for advanced reasoning. So what we want to do, I'm going to start with this, and we may probably end up, so this is not scripted, so I don't know what is going to happen in this video. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the series of questions and brainstorming with the AI, and I have a clear idea of what I want to do. So we're going to do the requirements, then the design of the technical implementation, the documentation, story refinement, and in the end we are also going to try to get some estimation and the actual code for the implementation. So let's see how we can start this. The project I want to do is to build a backend application for file uploads. So it's going to use as a stack, AWS S3. We're going to use Java as our programming language. The other thing I would like to have is security scanning. So every time a file is uploaded, I want to have some sort of security scanning being applied, and then the files should be marked or moved into another bucket so we can safely access them. Okay, friends, this is Anto from the future. I just finished a good part of the project. Probably I was very optimistic at the beginning. I wanted to build everything, including the code. So what I've done so far is I managed to create the entire requirements that are needed, and the help that I had is massive. So I didn't even start the code, but the information that I have, the documentation that I generated is already extremely useful, and in a real scenario could save weeks of time just this activity, because just keep watching because it's quite interesting. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start with I want to design a solution for file uploads. The files are uploaded by our web users to our website. I want to use S3 with pre-signed URLs. So I don't want to give too much detail. So what we're going to do here, we're going to ask for support in creating a requirements document. So I will continue saying, help me in defining the requirements for the S3. There's an error here. Help me in defining the requirements for this project. Ask as many questions you want. Make sure this is a conversation, so please ask questions one at the time. And the other thing I want to give this AI a little bit of context. You are a software developer, you are a senior software developer, and we work in the same team. We want to design a solution for file uploads. The files are uploaded by our web users. We want to use S3 with present. Help me in defining the requirements for this project. Ask as many questions as you want. Make sure this is a conversation, so please ask questions one at a time. I think this is good enough. Let's see where we go with this. What kind of files do users need to upload, and what's the maximum file size we should support for each? Okay, that's a good question. Files should be max 100 meg, and the type of files we expect are text, PDF, XLS, and images. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Do users have to be authenticated, logged in before they can request a pre-signed URL? Should each uploaded object be linked to a specific user or resource in your system? So let's skip the authentication requirement. What I'm thinking here is that this is a backend service that is invoked by the website backend. So it's not directly exposed to users. It will be exposed only to our backend service. So this means the backend service we are creating won't be accessible directly from outside, but will only be accessible by the backend of the website. So it's only internally accessible. I'm going to say no, the service we want not starting no. So do users have to be authenticated? No users will not need to be authenticated. Actually, we can simplify this entire thing by saying users don't need to be authenticated. But the other question, which is more important, should each uploaded object be linked to a specific user or resource in your system? I think for this one, users do not need to be authenticated directly with our service, but we need to know their, I'm going to simplify this by saying their ID. Once a file is uploaded, how long do we need to keep it in S3? Forever, 90 days until the user deletes it? And are there any automatic archival deletion rules we should enforce? Another good question. So we want to keep the files for 90 days. I'm curious to see if he's going to ask a question about security and vulnerability scanning and other things that we want to do. After the file is uploaded, and user back office stuff and an automated job, etc., needs to download or view it. And should we issue time-limited pre-signed get URLs for that access, or do you have another delivery mechanism in mind? I love this because that's exactly what I was thinking. So what we want to do, we want to have an automated job will pick the files and will do it by using the pre-signed URL. The users that upload the file won't be able to download it. Is this relevant? Let's add this information. Let's see how. An automated job will pick the files and will do it by using the pre-signed URL. The get pre-signed URL. The users that upload the files won't be able to download it. Okay, let's see what happens now. Do we need to run any server validation or malware? Wow, fantastic. That's what I was looking for. And I didn't specify in the original prompt, and it's asking the right question. So do we need to run any server-side validation or malware virus scanning on each file after it lands on S3 before the automated job picks up? Yes, we need to make sure the files are safe before we access them. Okay, so now we want to do this. What I would like to do ideally is to, once we know that the file is clean, I want to move that file somewhere else where we can access it. So it can be on the same bucket with a different name, or can be on a different bucket. I don't want to hint anything. Let's see what happens. Roughly how many files do you expect users to upload each day and at peak burst? So we can size the S3 bucket policy, scanning workflow, and any Q lambda concurrency limits correctly. But let's say peak burst, let's say 100 files. I'm going to be generic. We have 10,000 active users on our site. We don't know exactly the usage at peak burst. For S3, I don't understand the question. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe that I don't know about S3, but we can size the S3 bucket policies. Let's see, how long should each pre-signed URL remain valid after we hand it to the browser? Just a few minutes or something longer to accommodate slower mobile connection? So I want this to be a parameter that is sent by the actual user. This is a configurable parameter, and this is a configurable parameter and will be passed by the caller of the service, but has a limit of 60 minutes. Okay, let's see. How do you want to associate each object in S3 with the user who uploaded it? Embed the URL ID in the object key, attach it as an S3 object tag meta field, record it in a database row, or some combination of this. I want to user ID should be in the object key and in the metadata. The reason is because if it's in the object key, we're going to make sure users cannot upload files on override files from other users. And the other thing is because if it's in the metadata, we can validate that as part of the parameters that we send as well. So let's see. Do we have any encryption? Okay, I don't want to use at the moment any encryption at rest. This is just a parameter that we can set in our S3 configuration. So for simplicity, I'm just going to say, no, we will use the AWS default encryption. After the virus scan completes, how should we flag that an object is safe and ready for your automated job? That's the question we were expecting. So move or copy it into a separate clean bucket prefix, /prefix, add an S3 object tag or metadata flag, publish a message to an SQS SNS topic, the job listen to, or some other mechanism. I'm going to make this part very tricky. I would like to have a separate bucket and also the SQS SNS that is optional. So that we can have both mode. We can have a synchronous and an asynchronous way of checking. I want to use a clean bucket, and when the new file, without specifying the mechanism, I want to use a clean bucket and optionally SQS/SNS. Simple, no more description. So this part is already quite interesting because what we are seeing is that we are brainstorming and we are being treated. So I feel I'm talking to a colleague, and I also feel that all the questions are very relevant. So it's already usually helping us to define the requirements for this. So question 11, do we need to guarantee that every upload gets a unique object ID so nothing is ever overwritten? So it's quite smart from this point of view. If so, how should we generate those keys? UUIDs, timestamp plus userID, or another scheme? So I wanted to use timestamp plus userID and timestamp plus userID. That's, so far I'm really impressed with the help I'm getting. So I feel like this part is very, very useful because it's distraction free as well. So I can stick to this. Do we already have a preferred antivirus malware scanning solution in AWS, an existing Lambda, CLAM AV pattern, an AWS marketplace product, or something managed by a security team? Do we need to design that part from scratch? I think AWS provides already a way to scan the bucket, but probably ChatGPT doesn't know that. I think AWS provides a scanning mechanism, but I don't know how that works. I would like to use native tools from AWS if possible. I think I can enable deep search. I'm going to try with deep search. I don't know what is going to happen. Can you search the web to see what we can use? That's quite interesting. Just to clarify, you would like me to search the AWS native tools or services that can perform virus and malware scanning in S3 uploaded files. Could you please confirm if you're open to solutions that involve AWS marketplace product officially recommended by AWS, or are you just looking for services fully managed? Just services fully managed by AWS. So the more I use it, the more I feel that I tried to do something similar a few months ago, and the level that we are today, it's incredible. I was dreaming a few months ago about this level of support, and now it's here. So in a few months, we're going to see really amazing things. Okay, so we got our result, and it got blocked on my machine, but then I checked from my phone and I noticed that it completed in 7 minutes. I've been waiting for more than half an hour, but so here we go. We have AWS managed services for malware scanning in S3. So now what I want to discuss here, this is quite important because we saved lots of time in this moment, because if it took 7 minutes and it checked 19 sources, what means is that what would have been the alternative if we were just doing this as in our team? So we had to stop the meeting because we didn't know what was the solution, what we could use. We had to put down the notes for starting a spike, time box it for a sprint. So we are gonna work on this in next sprint. So we are already saving, if you're running a 2-week sprint, we are already saving 2 weeks with just this. So now this may be good quality, bad quality, but you can see that there is a massive advantage in using these technologies to support you, not to replace you. So that's the key of this video and this series of video that I want to make. Overview: scanning files in S3 for viruses or malware is crucial to protect data downstream. Okay, all this fluff. Key AWS managed services include Amazon Guard Duty with the new S3 malware protection feature for content scanning. That's exactly what we want. Content discovery for sensitive data, we don't care about this. AWS Security Hub for centralized security finding. Okay, what we want is Amazon Guard Duty. Malware protection for S3, mid of 2024, it includes malware. So you are also learning as part of this how it works. You specify which buckets or specific prefixes to protect, and Guard Duty will listen to the S3 event. Okay, it automatically triggers findings. If Guard Duty main service is enabled. Okay, so I'm not going to read the entire thing, but what I want to do, we can use this as a documentation for keeping track of our decision. So why we went with this decision. And very much, we want to proceed with AWS Guard Duty for S3. Okay, so thank you very much. We want to proceed with AWS Guard Duty for S3. Let's see what is the problem. Awesome. That's a solid choice. Guard Duty will fit really well with what you described. Do you want to scan all files in the bucket where uploads happen, or should we restrict Guard Duty to only specific prefixes, folder, or certain buckets? that's interesting. We want to scan only the files that are uploaded by web users. Okay, will file uploaded by web users always go into a specific bucket or a specific prefix inside bucket so that we can easily target it for scanning? If so, could you describe the structure you have in mind? So I'm gonna say yes, but I don't have any structure in mind. Let's see. No problem, we can define a clear structure together. Would you prefer that each user uploads go into their own folder like uploads, userID, timestamp, or just have all uploads go into shared folder like uploads slash? I think I like the first one, so I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna say I like the folder structure upload userID timestamp. Nice choice. That will make things much cleaner and easier to manage later. When generating the pre-signed put URL for uploads, should we enforce file type validation? Yes. Upfront when creating the URL, or will we just validate file types after the file is uploaded? I would like to enforce it. I would like to enforce it upfront. Good call. Better to stop bad files early. Do you want to validate MIME types only, or would you also validate the file extension during the pre-signed URL generation? Both. Okay. So these are all details that will be very useful during the implementation. So capturing them is hugely helpful. Got it. We'll enforce both MIME type and file extension when generating the pre-signed URL. If the validation fails, for example, wrong file type, should we return a detailed error message to the caller like unsupported file type or just a generic upload not allowed message? Okay, I'll just go with unsupported file type. Unsupported file type, copy, paste, send. Perfect. We return a clear unsupported file type message when validation fails. Do you want the service that generates pre-signed URLs to be publicly accessible, callable from your front-end app, or should be protected behind some sort of gateway API key or IAM role? I'm gonna say that it's behind a gateway. I'm saying this because I don't want to have any authentication mechanism implemented into the service code base, but I want to manage that externally with things like Istio in a Kubernetes cluster. It's behind the gateway and will be accessible only by trusted clients. Great, having it behind the gateway for trusted clients sounds secure and clean. Should we log every time a pre-signed URL is generated, including details like user ID, file name, timestamp, requested IP if available, for audit troubleshooting purposes? Yes. Perfect. We'll make sure to log all important details when a pre-signed URL is generated. Do you want the pre-signed URL service to check if the user is allowed to upload at that moment? For example, enforcing rate limits like max number of uploads per hour or quota. I don't want to overcomplicate this. No, okay, let's keep it simple. No. All right, no upload rate limits or quota needed. Should we allow overwriting if a user uploads a file with the same timestamp? Or should we prevent overwriting and force each upload to be truly unique? I want to avoid overwriting. Got it. We'll make sure each upload has a truly unique key to avoid any overwrites. In case the upload fails, for example, the user never actually uploads after getting the pre-signed URL, do we need any cleanup mechanism for unused object or expired pre-signed URLs? Or is it fine to just let S3 lifecycle rule clean up after 90 days? So this is, I think, incorrect, because my understanding of pre-signed URLs is that it doesn't create any object. It's only a signature for the URL that will get validated and will expire automatically. So there is not much to do in this case. And it's true only if an upload fails midway through. So yeah, it's partially true. Do we need any cleanup mechanism for unused object? So we rely on the lifecycle rule. We rely on the lifecycle rule for cleanup. Do we want the version object in S3 turn on versioning in case somehow duplicate keys happen by mistake, or is that unnecessary since we are enforcing uniqueness up front? Let's say it's unnecessary. Is unnecessary. Stop asking questions now. Cool. No versioning needed. Last one for now. Okay, cool. Sometimes I feel that he listens. Do you want to configure any notification like an SNS topic or even bridge event when a file is successfully scanned and marked clean by guard duty so downstream system can start proceeding it immediately? Do you want to configure any notification? Let's say yes. Use an SNS topic. So now what we want to do, I want to use the SNS topic, but this is optional and requested by the service caller getting the pre-signed URL when requesting the pre-signed URL. So essentially what we are doing here, we are saying I want to get the event, the notification on SNS, but because we made it optional, we only want that notification to happen in the moment that the requester specifies that the option is true. So only in that case, we're going to get the event sent on the SNS topic. Awesome. So if the caller provides an SNS topic when requesting the pre-signed URL, we'll hook it up for post-scan notification, otherwise we skip it. I can now draft a full list of requirements based on everything we discussed if you want. Would you like me to summarize it into a nice document format? Yes, please. Okay, so now, yes, please. So now we should get our document format, file upload service requirement document, purpose. That's very cool. So now this one is already going to be very useful because it's capturing all the information of what we discussed. Failure handling, pretty neat. 8 points is not overly verbose, which is something that I like. And all the information captured here. So now what I want to do, how we're going to proceed with this, because I don't want to make a video that is too long. So what we're going to do now, we have the requirements. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to request the list of stories that we need to do. So generate a list of stories that I can use. I'm also going to copy this into here. So let me go here. So I'm going to add all the documents generated into a public GitHub repo. So I'm going to call this ChatGPT Plus. And we're going to do requirements.t. Actually, we're going to call it MD. So, and then I'm going to paste everything in Markdown. So it's nice. Here is the requirement based on everything we discussed. I'm going to remove this. Okay. So the other thing I wanted was the architecture diagram. So before this, generate a list of stories. I'm going to ask to proceed with the architecture diagram. Create an architecture diagram. And I'm going to ask to use mermaid.js. Do it using mermaid.js. Okay. I don't know how this is going to look. We can see at the end. So I'm going to add this, create a new file, do the design.md. So this is how do I include the mermaid in? Briefly describe the architecture and also add a sequence diagram. Is that a sequence diagram? Yeah, probably is diagram. Okay, so it replaced the entire document. I'm going to copy paste and ignore the previous one. I think this one is very similar. Oh, there is a sequence diagram here. Interesting. Copy paste everything and boom. Okay. Now generate a list of stories. This work to be completed from coding to production. Generate a list of stories for this work to be completed from coding to production, including validation of that's it. So generate a list of stories for this work to be completed from coding to production. Let's see what happens. User stories or file upload, pre-signed URL. Story 1. As a developer, I want to build a service that generates pre-signed put URLs after validating story. File upload flow. As a web user, I want to... Okay, I was expecting a little bit more effort on this, so probably it's my fault because I'm rushing it. So I think I will skip this part. I'm going to commit this. I'm going to start to see the design. So adding design from ChatGPT. Cool. Let's see what do we see on our repo and how that looks like. Unable to render. Okay, there is a little bit of mistake here. And here we have our sequence diagram. Let me see what's the issue with this file. This related to uploads, userID, and the use of slash. Parse error line 9. Okay, line 9. Let's have a look. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it's here. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the slashes as I suspect are causing issues. So let me see. No, it's probably the brackets. Yeah, very likely it's the brackets. Okay, we have a design, API gateway, pre-signed URL, log, validate file and type user, valid generate pre-signed put URL, return unsupported file type, malware scan, tag object as clean, tag object as malicious, move to quarantine bucket, and SNS topic provided, yes, no, publish success, no action. Okay, so that's quite clear. Okay, so as I already said, I was expecting a little bit more in terms of ability of completing everything, but I think I was underestimating the amount of effort required with the chat, with the actual AI. So I'm pretty happy with the result, by the way, because we managed to get a really clean idea of what we want, and this will save literally weeks of development, because most of the time what happens when we rush this part, we have lots of unanswered questions. Each question will result in a follow-up meeting and at least half an hour of a meeting for each of the questions. So I think with the number of questions we got from ChatGPT were 25. So we got 25 questions from ChatGPT, and some of them we didn't think about that. So I didn't have them in mind, and I was surprised to get those questions. So I was pleasantly surprised to get those questions. So I think this is the way I like to use AI, not to just say write a code. So you can also try to do a very similar thing. Try to explain in a short sentence the code that you want to write. It will generate the code, but then you don't know what are the requirements. Now that we have these requirements, we can be very specific to how we want to structure the code, how we want to call the different components of the service, and so on and so forth. So, and that's exactly how I think we should use AI to become 10x engineers. I think the amount of time we can save is massive. The other thing is that I'm going to share the link to the repo with all the files that have been generated, so you can review at your own time. So I didn't go through every single thing at the moment, but I think it's a starting point. I don't expect the AI to do my job, and I don't want the AI to do my job, otherwise I will be replaced. So don't use it as a replacement, but use it as someone that can support you. So I think the value we got from this is already massive. And in a follow-up video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare this exact same part with Gemini, and then we're going to focus on the implementation in other videos. Hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Press the like button if you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe so you will get notified when the new episodes will come out. In the meantime, see you and ciao!